Well, hello. It is 6 a.m. and it is July 24th of 2023. I don't have anything on order. Yesterday I got the new keyboard, which I like. I've got it. I'm not sure if that's red or orange. And I, I, I picture myself just leaving it that way. The only thing I don't like about it, and I mentioned that before, is well, now on the keypad, some of these keyboards, the G will look like a 6 or something like that, or whatever. Anyway, this G looks like a G, and the 6 looks like a I don't know what. I think all the rest of the things, I haven't looked at everything. I think the rest of it looks okay. Well, wait a minute. Is this a? Let's see. I'm a touch typist, so I don't. Okay, well, the D in it looks. They didn't close the back side of it. And the same with the B. It doesn't, But like I said, I'm a touch typist, so it's probably not going to matter. But I'm not sure if they do that, if there's some reason for them to, do that, or if it's because maybe that enables them to sell the keyboard to some people that, use a little different alphabet. I don't know. It's fine. I'm not going to upgrade. I've never upgraded keys. This has the numeric keypad, which I never use. I like the speaker thing here at the top, that I can move it up. My Logitech keyboard, which I liked and still like it. Let's see, I guess it's in the closet right now, resting, retired. But I've retired it before, and it has, which I never used. Well, I did. I mean, when I first got the Logitech, I did the numbers on the far left, whatever they were, that you could program. I think I did program it with something, and so let's see what's going on here. Did I tell you? I think I did. I think I told you, the time and the day. I don't have to do that anymore. I'm back to using Manicam. I don't have to do that anymore. And I disconnected that other there's just no reason to have, two cameras fighting over some kind of resources or whatever. I'll just use the Avery Media, even though I could cook a hamburger on it or something. Let's see. Let's go to CNN. I'm feeling pretty good at 6 a.m. and I didn't get much sleep, I don't think. The Ukraine claims responsibility for strikes in Moscow and Crimea. How Trump maneuvered his GOP rivals into a tortured position on his legal battles. I think what they're talking about there, because some people have been talking, the media and stuff has been talking that, the people who are Republicans who are running against him were put in the position of, they just do not dare say anything about the leader, the supreme leader, And so they're in a position of, oh no, Donald Trump is a great, where, but on the other hand, if they'd have said, no, he committed crimes and he shouldn't have done this or whatever, boom, a whole bunch of people would leave, would have not voted for them. So the Republican Party has been totally, it's always had a problem. But it's just gone to insanity and to cultism. And is cultism anyway, it just needs to be start over again. And I mean, they would have a hard time for a while, but let's see. Sex scene in Oppenheimer becomes the latest target of India's Hindu nationalism. It's really, it's so bad that there is such, the thing between India and Pakistan. I mean, it's from the beginning of, I guess it was before, the division into separate countries. But, I don't know anything about their religions. But it seems to me like, that they ought to be able to get along together. Thing here, headline is World Without Us, Abandoned Sites Overrun by Nature. It is hot, but it's hot, I think, around the world. Is there some place that's complaining right now, we're having a terribly cool summer? I don't know about them, maybe in some mountains someplace, I'm looking at the CNN front page. Russia says Ukraine launched 17 drones towards occupied Crimea and that 2 drones hit buildings in Moscow. The Western world, maybe Turkey would object to being in, like Western world. Maybe I don't know, but anyway, NATO and the free world and everything, it just has to resist, Russia's aggression. Has to. We should have learned our lesson after, Germany and Hitler. That you have to, because, if Russia is successful, well, they already took part of, Crimea. Russia will just keep it up, and Russia will try to take back all the countries that they had, at the end that they took at the end of the war, World War II. They'll try to take back Poland and all the rest of them. They just have to be stopped. And better to stop them this way and NATO, that's just wonderful that they're sticking together. Because, well, especially those countries, a lot of those countries, they dealt firsthand, with Hitler. And I bet they know the history probably better than we do. A woman found dead on a Montana trail following an apparent bear encounter. It says here 2 hikers found dead in Nevada State Park. Maybe that's because of heat, I don't know. Boat crashes into Lake of the Ozarks home, injuring 8. conversation has commenced with North Korea over U.S. soldier. A black soldier deliberately went into North Korea, and I'm guessing that he probably had problems, and maybe he had, psychological problems, mental problems or something, and thought, well, I'll just go over there, And you don't know what to, you don't know how North Korea is going to, they might not be very kind to him. Or on the other hand, they might set him up, They wouldn't be living, probably the barracks, in the U.S. military would be, but anyway, North Korea might set him up with, they did it in the past. I think with Korea, I think the Korean War. I think it was. Or was it? I can't remember. Anyway, a few U.S. soldiers, defected, and they were set up. They weren't, they weren't living as well as they'd been living back in the United States, but they were treated okay for a while. They could be used, in films, as playing an American and that type of stuff. But you don't know, if this guy has mental problems or something. They may not want him. I mean, he just might be a liability to them. They probably wouldn't know what he's going to, So, I guess there's negotiations going on. Would I see that? A large chunk of the U.S. bakes under a record heat wave, and I'm in Texas, and that's what's happening here. I guess I could read it. You don't have to, Wildfires in Greece. World's most dramatic saltwater sea pools. AMC Theaters scraps plans to charge more for good seats. I haven't been to, an indoor movie theater. God, I think it'd be something like one of those movies when kids, several of those movies for the kids. E.T., something like that, for the kids. I took them. Here's a guy who nearly died in a shark attack while he says sharks need to be saved. I just saw a thing, I think it was on CNN, on the page or whatever, that said that sharks are older than dinosaurs. I forget how many, they were around way before dinosaurs. So we got creatures like that are older than dinosaurs. How long have I been blabbing away? Only 14 minutes. Oh, okay, you can't see them, can you? Man, these barbecued, these grills ribs look good. I come from Kansas City, Missouri, famous for its barbecue. Maybe the only reason to go to Kansas City, Missouri, unless you're a Royals or a Chiefs fan. I miss barbecue. I think we ordered in and had it delivered once or twice here. And then I went and spent 2 weeks in Washington, D.C. with my grown daughter and her husband. And it was really great because I'm a news fan. I watch, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. I mean, all that kind of stuff. And I watch the news all the time, and I'm always seeing. And so for 2 weeks, I got to walk around. They asked me how I wanted to do it, and I said, could we do it every other day? I'll have a day in between to rest, And so that's what we did. And we were out for like 3.5 hours. And I got to see all those places. I forget the name of the place. There's a place that's famous there for food. And we went and ate there. And it was good. And then LaDonna and her husband, later on, they sent us some food from there, and it came all right. It came delivered okay. When Darlene and I were, well, not first married, but because we had 2 kids at that point. But there was a place not far from us on Blue Ridge, not far from our tropical fish shop that we had for 4 years. And they had really good chili dogs. I forget the name of the place. And on Tuesday or something like that, I think it was Tuesday, they were 19 cents each, the chili dogs. Wow. Then there was a time when we had the tropical fish shop. Every Sunday I would go and get a whole bunch of donuts. And we'd do that on Sunday. No, all of my kids are not fat. And none of my kids have diabetes. Darlene and I both have too much weight on us. My ex-wife, we've been divorced about 40 years. But thing here on CNN, oh, you can see it, okay. It says ticks are in more places. I hate ticks. I think I went hunting or fishing or something with my dad one time and got some. I don't like that idea. I'm not an outdoors person, you know what I mean? I don't see it here, but I saw it the other day, and I never thought of it because I've watched a lot of videos, on YouTube about people in their private airplanes and all that kind of stuff, and airplanes. And there's some really good guys pilots, who do reports on plane crashes and other problems with planes or whatever. And I really didn't know anything much, and the temperature and the altitude that you're at, and those things take, you have to take into consideration. And they said that with it really, really hot, that was a problem. I don't know if any planes have not been able to take off because they don't get enough, underneath their wind, underneath their something. But yeah, it's. I saw one video on YouTube of the guy who, reports on airplane crashes and what may, and then when the reports come out, he goes through it and explains everything, and he shows the radio communications that they had, if recorded, and a map and that kind of stuff. And I think he's a guy, but if we're not, it was somebody like him. There was a couple, and I forget where they lived, but that was significant, because of maybe low altitude and not mountains and stuff like that. And he had a nice plane, him and his wife, and he was making a long, a flight, and he flopped in. He, well, I guess he did flop in. He landed at an airport, and somebody, I forget what kind of plane he had, and a pilot, came over and said, "Oh, that's the such and such. Yeah, how do you like that?" And then the pilot actually, and the pilot was waiting for, to get on his airplane to fly a whole bunch of people someplace. And he came over and he said to this guy, "Yeah," yeah, you know, you really need to watch. And what was it? Anyway, he basically told the guy, you know, hey, here's what you, because at the higher altitude you have, I don't know what. I watched all these things, I don't remember any of them, you know. And sure enough, the guy took off with his wife and crashed, and that pilot basically had told him, you know, hey, you need to watch because and whatever. I don't know. It's over my head. It's over my head. Says America has stopped building public pools, swimming pools. I don't know how to swim. Never learned. When I was in Florida for, let's see, I was in Orlando for a couple years. And from there I could see, because we were on the edge of it, I could see the space shuttle taking off. And one time, because the sun was behind me, and the way it was taking off, and I was in Orlando, and I could see the rocket boosters, you know, going off, and then way in the background was a commercial flight in the background, and that was really some good pictures. And then I told you about this, ended up doing something stupid and losing those. I would love to have those. Although nobody cares, I don't think anybody cares about anybody else's picture, you know. An unarmed black man was attacked by a police dog, despite surrendering with his hands in the air. I guess when they're training those dogs, I guess they should have some. Come to think of it, they do wear, you know, I think they wear black or tan, you know, with the heavy padding so the dogs don't bite them. Where maybe they need to make them have some training. As too, a lot of those dogs come from Germany, and when they come over, I may be wrong on this. I know I'm not wrong, but maybe I'm wrong now or something, or maybe it's not. But when the dogs come over, and then they go to where their training place is, and then they're trained, and then eventually the person who's going to be the dog handler has to go down there, and they use German commands to the dog, you know, and whatever. I worked at a hospital, and I liked the nurse. She was an elderly nurse, a little older than I was, and she was. I don't think she really liked police officers, and when police would bring some young, especially a young person in handcuffed or whatever, she'd go over. Virginia would say, "Honey, did they hurt you?" Man, the police hated her. You know, hated her. And then one time, there wasn't anybody else there. You know, well, the ER doctor, 2 nurses, me, and I think a police officer was there too. And then this Cass County deputy who came in with the dog, you know. And she said, "Oh, dogs shouldn't be." And, you know, Virginia did. He told her, you know, "This dog can go everywhere that I go." So, cheese wheels filled with cocaine seized at Texas border. Maybe I should go down and check out the border. I've never done any drugs. One time I supposedly smoked it. I don't think it was marijuana. My son had a joint, and it didn't smell like a marijuana. I've smelled marijuana, and I've taken marijuana off of people, and I'm not sure. Once it was a young guy on a X-ray cart being X-rayed back in the X-ray department, and marijuana fell out of his pocket or something or other, And he had a friend there, and the friend, I'll take that. I said, no, you won't. And I took it. Went over and flushed down the toilet. And then one time, in the emergency room, the ER was busy, and there was a couple of police had brought a guy in, and a young guy, and the nurse asked if I'd go in the restroom with the guy. He, pulled his zipper down or whatever, and his marijuana fell out on the floor. And I told him, dump it dump it and flush it, So, well, how long have I been talking? 30 minutes about. That's good enough. Thank you very much for watching. Please, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe below.